Late at night, I found myself surrounded by several naked men. Two of them spread my legs apart, helping Mike, the muscular guy, go deeper inside me. Man, I really like this. It felt like I was completely pierced through. I could even feel his large size pressing against my stomach. Countless rough hands groped my body, making me gasp and moan. The men watching nearby couldn't hold back any longer and began joining in. I couldn't take this overwhelming sensation anymore. Lifting my face, I said, "Come on, all of you, break me." But just then, John, my husband, suddenly burst in. Panicked, I pulled the blanket up to cover myself, revealing the wet stains on the sheets. "John, I can explain." Unexpectedly, John didn't say a word. He injected me with something. When I woke up, I was tied up with ropes. Everything was pitch black. I had to rely on my hearing to understand what was happening. The empty room echoed with my sobs. "Don't worry, sis. Soon you'll have a place to open your mouth. We've already arranged a long leave for your company, saying you need to rest. You'll have plenty of time to have fun with us." It was Mike's voice. My heart skipped a beat. Have fun with us? Despite my shock, I found myself strangely looking forward to it. Suddenly, the gag in my mouth was removed, and 2 capsules were roughly shoved in. 2 fingers stirred inside my mouth, forcing me to swallow 2 pills. This woman's already wild. Now she'll be completely out of control. That was Kevin, the delivery guy I'd randomly invited earlier. What I didn't see was that they were already very aroused beneath the sheets. Otherwise, I might have been even more excited. I still hadn't heard John's voice, which made me uneasy until I felt a familiar touch. John slapped my butt hard, then put the gag back on. "Emily, I didn't expect you to be this impatient. Really finding someone else? Since that's the case, today we'll satisfy you properly." My ears flushed instantly. I had no idea what decisions the 3 of them had made while I was unconscious. As footsteps approached, I felt several hands kneading my body relentlessly. I struggled in horror, but their touches grew more brazen. I whimpered helplessly. Gradually, I felt a burning heat, like being inside a furnace, and I couldn't help but hum softly. Hearing my heavier breathing, they removed the gag. Just as I tried to catch my breath, my mouth was roughly filled again. The sheer size made it almost impossible to breathe. "If she's not your wife, no need to be gentle. Do as you please." John's casual words seemed to fuel them even more. I was quickly pushed to the edge of ecstasy. The long, relentless motion made me uncomfortable. I wanted to beg for mercy but could only whimper. To end it sooner, I had to take the initiative. I don't know how long passed before I got a brief moment to breathe, but before I could relax, suddenly, I felt a lightness. My restraints were undone. My hands were forced to hold 2 sizable objects. Moving rapidly, the stimulation hit me hard. Suddenly, a large hand grabbed my lower body, and my face flushed with embarrassment. "No, baby, we're not done yet. You're not allowed to finish first," John's voice said. I couldn't help but moan softly. Damn him. Suddenly, my hips thrust forward uncontrollably. My head lifted, and I started trembling. Someone added more fingers. 2 became 3, then 4. I trembled and whispered, "Enough, enough, I'm good." "Ah." Someone pinched my ear and whispered, "Not enough yet. Baby, this is just the beginning. Let's make a bet. After a week of training, you won't be able to live without us. What do you think?" I opened my mouth to protest. "No way," but suddenly another finger was added. I couldn't care about shame and moaned loudly. "You don't have the right to refuse. Just enjoy our service," said Mike, the muscular guy. I was always the one teasing him before. Now, the roles were reversed. They lifted me up, withdrew their fingers, and teased my sensitive spots. I lifted my head, moaning softly. My eyes glazed over. Suddenly, a cold sensation spread, and my belly began to swell. They actually, enough, enough. I felt like I couldn't hold it any longer. They ignored me until the moment they pulled out. Just before I would have exploded, a tube was removed, replaced with a plug. Then my entire area was wrapped up. They patted me, warning me not to move or face the consequences. I curled up painfully in someone's arms. After an unknown time, my lower body was finally freed, ending my torment. One of them pressed on that spot, then suddenly stopped. I couldn't help but lift myself, grinding against it. It had been a week since I last had anything. I wanted it so badly. I was smacked once, then instantly satisfied, stretching out comfortably. Suddenly, my head was lifted, and a huge object was shoved into my mouth. I was caught between front and back, too overwhelmed to speak, only able to whimper. Suddenly, a cold wave washed over me as someone applied something. "You'll like this." Came a sharp pain. Someone was rubbing me. I raised my hands to push them away, but Kevin grabbed them, using them for other purposes. After an unknown length of time, he finally climaxed. Just as I was about to breathe easier, another huge object pressed against me. I shrank back in fear. "I'm here. Don't be afraid," Kevin said gently, stroking me as if comforting me. When he thrust in suddenly, my body shuddered. He was immediately drawn in by my heat, starting a new round of assault. My beautiful blue eyes rolled back in ecstasy. I fainted. When I woke up, I was alone in bed, wearing a silky nightgown, soft and smooth. The friction against my skin made me feel like I had skin hunger, constantly craving touch. I sat up and gasped sharply. Something was pressing against me down there, every movement causing it to rub, both painful and pleasurable. I trembled all over but shakily stood up, holding the railing with each step. I slowly walked downstairs and took a careful look at the house, a 2-story villa surrounded by greenery, with no other buildings in sight. "You're awake. Come eat breakfast," Mike said, waving at me with a smile. My cheeks flushed as I bit my lip and forced a smile. I approached the dining table, hesitating how to sit. Suddenly, someone wrapped their arms around my waist. I was startled. It was Kevin. He patted me gently and smiled warmly. "Baby, you have to eat well. We're going to work today, so you'll have to work hard." I frowned coldly. "What exactly do you want?" I admit I was wrong. "Let's just end this, okay?" Their expressions didn't change, but their smiles deepened. "Baby, who else would you want to mess with? Who else would hold you like this?" David Miller, my senior, smiled as he scooped some vegetables and brought them to my mouth. "Emily, try this. We specially prepared it for you," John said calmly, eating his own food. I trembled and ate the bite. They fed me spoonful by spoonful. Gradually, as I ate, I felt like ants were crawling all over me, a burning heat spreading through my body. Leaning against Mike, his hand feeding me slowly stopped. I was so hot and dizzy, wanting to lean against some ice. I felt like snakes were crawling on me, cold and inviting. I restlessly twisted my legs, then suddenly someone lifted me from behind. Through my tear-filled eyes, I saw a wooden horse. I shook my head helplessly. Eventually, I was placed on it. "Baby, we're going to work. Relax." They stroked my head, their smiles full of hidden meaning. I weakly tried to stop them, but they left. Before leaving, they gagged me and tied my hands and feet, cranking up the heat. With a loud bang as the door closed, my world fell silent. I twisted my body, and suddenly that thing started moving up and down faster and faster. I sobbed, tears streaming, saliva uncontrollable. I endured wave after wave of assault. After an unknown time, the door opened. I turned my head sharply. I'm back. They won't come back at noon, Mike said. I whimpered. He lifted me up and with his movements, my hands and feet curled uncontrollably. He placed me on the sofa, studying me. It's okay, you can still hold on, he said, then pulled out an even bigger plug. He helped me stand and led me forward. Every step made me tremble. Finally, we reached the bathroom, but my eyes were blindfolded, and that cold sensation spread all over me. My hair stood on end in fear. He acted as if nothing was wrong, continuing to feed me and put me to sleep. When I woke again, I was still on the wooden horse. Mike's return felt like an illusion, but that thing reminded me he had been here. Baby, you're finally awake. We've been waiting for you. I was lifted up. They removed all my restraints and placed me at the dining table. Finally, I got to eat a proper meal. Afterwards, they carried me upstairs. I glanced outside, looking for an escape route. Unnoticed, I was brought to a strange room. I was placed kneeling on the floor. Suddenly, a whip cracked across me, and I cried out in pain. Their voices urged me on. I shrank my shoulders and crawled forward as hard as I could. The whip seemed to have eyes chasing me. I gradually adapted to the pain, but when the whip struck a sensitive spot, I couldn't help but scream. They put down the whip and closed in on me.